Hello, my name's Krista Glennie-Seishu. I'm the executive producer of Nickel City Chef and the founder of Feed Your Soul. Today, we're very excited to present our 15th challenge. It features challenging chef James Roberts of Park Country Club, located in Williamsville, New York, versus the undefeated Nickel City chef J.J. Richert of Torch's Restaurant. Today, both chefs had the opportunity to work with an amazing local ingredient, Flying Bison's craft beer.
Hello, I'm Tim Herzog from Flying Bison Brewing Company. Flying Bison provided the beer for today's battle beer. We did a Belgian double, which is a Trappist-style red ale with a lot of yeasty characteristics to it, and also our oatmeal stout, which has a deep coffee flavor and a nice creamy finish to it.
Beer as an ingredient was so awesome. It is a challenging ingredient in a lot of ways, but at the same time, a lot of fun. First course, we did basically a gnocchi, whole grain mustard gnocchi stuffed with beer brat. We sauteed that up, served it with a beer cheese fonduta, basically this really great fontina cheese from Italy. We basically emulsified that into some of the oatmeal stout, and then we did some sauteed garlic ramps, fresh, first of the year. And then we did a hop foam to kind of complement the whole thing with just a little bit of microgreens. The dish really came together nice, and I was super proud of it, and I think it was a good representation of beer.
I love beer, and for me, when I saw that that was the ingredient, it's a really special moment. I love a lot of food with beer. For our first course, we had a compilation appetizer. We call it For Beer, By Beer, With Beer, and it is basically all of my favorite foods with beer. We did raw oyster, which is one of the quintessential seafood beer combinations. We did it with a mignonette, which is a classical sauce for oysters, but we used a beer vinegar. It was very nice. We actually froze that in liquid nitrogen and made little pearls because of the sphere as it freezes. So that was one component. There was a truffled pork crepinette, which is basically a sausage wrapped in caul fat. We studded it with a piece of foie gras down the center and used the T Meadow Farms pork. We did a classical mole negro with a chicken wing, being buffalo, and then the pork pastor taco, which is a great combination. It's pineapple, lime, onion, annatto, a little bit of beer, and that same pork in a little mini taco. And then the last, which was a surprise, is the onion soup. It came out fantastic. I thought all the components really went well, and I think that it was a shock to the judges that each component is individually detailed.
The second dish, just some good old-fashioned Richert brother debauchery. This was the ultimate tailgate, and this is how we roll. And when we go to a Bills game or whatever, ask somebody. That's how we party. It was a 4-component dish. First component was a sandwich. You know, any tailgate has a sandwich. So we did a oatmeal stout gruyere, which is basically a puff pastry, which instead of using milk in the patty choux, we used beer. And then we did a beer braised short rib, topped it with mustard greens, and put a little Irish cheddar on there as well. And then, we put a little andouille sausage and Gruyere cheese over the top, so that was a sandwich. Second component was beer can chicken, but instead of using chicken, we used quail, and made up our own little fabrication device to kind of grill and smoke the hens with the beer inside of them. And then we did that over a little bit of baked beans, but instead of just putting baked beans on the plate, we stuffed the baked beans inside of a zucchini blossom and beer battered that. We did a little bit of macaroni and cheese, but instead of doing a macaroni and cheese sauce, we made a Welsh rarebit, which is a beer cheese soup, but we made it a little bit thicker and added the macaroni to that, and then baked the whole dish as a whole, and then added a little hot sauce at the end. Fourth component to our ultimate tailgate dish is cold beer. So we got the chainsaw out and we cut some mugs out of ice. Drilled a hole, bored it down in there, took a trip to the hardware store to fashion a handle together, and then at the last minute I personalized the glasses with a Dremel tool and put the initials of the judges on the glass. And I thought it was pretty fun, and you know what, it was playful, and it was the way that we would go about drinking cold beer to the nth degree.
For our second course, we took a little different approach on a traditional beer braise, and we modernized it a little bit. We call it beer braise redefined, so to speak. It is, we took the Kobe beef rib, and we vacuum packaged it with some oatmeal stout, Flying Bison oatmeal stout, and sous vide in the low temperature circulation at 54 degrees Celsius for a certain amount of time until it was just perfectly cooked all the way through. The texture is perfect, and then we hot sear it, and serve it on top a bed of cooked barley, sauteed onions and mushrooms to kind of round out the braise, and some little baby vegetables, turnips, carrots, that sort of thing, to really complete what would be the beer braise, but in a different way, maybe kind of not deconstructed, but just, again, redefined.
For our third course, we wanted to do beer for the judges in a sweet way, and we didn't want the hops and the bitterness of the beer to overpower the dessert. So what we did was a porter pecan pie, my wife Cindy's recipe, for a bourbon pecan pie, but we omitted the bourbon and added some beer to it. Then we made an oatmeal stout ice cream, placed it on top, and then I made a double beer caramel and just kind of drizzled that over the top. We didn't put any out-of-season raspberries or any obligatory garnishes on there. It was just a nice pecan pie, and I was really happy with the way it came out.
As a final note to our menu, our third course was a sundae. I love the texture of nitrogen frozen ice cream, and it allows you to freeze alcohol to improve texture because of the temperature at which you're freezing it. We had a whimsical play on 2 beers and a shot, which is, a typical chef after work beverage. It is both beers from Flying Bison and whiskey accompaniments. So we did frozen Belgian double ice cream, or sorbet, just beer and sugar really. Froze that with the nitrogen. Did the oatmeal stout also on top of it. Then we had bourbon caramel, which we made with a little malted cream and bourbon and the sugar, and a bourbon whipped cream, which Rich's topping and whipped cream and ISI foamed. And it was really 2 beers as you dug down. It was a little straw, but then as you got to the whipped cream and the caramel, it was the shot finishing. It is kind of a whimsical play on the sundae approach, and still very complex.
My approach to judging is to try not to judge anything until I've tasted it, because all that matters to me is what is on the final plate. And the biggest thing is, if you don't know what you're doing, there's no way to hide it. I can taste it if you don't know what you're doing. And as you saw today, these guys were so skilled, and they were separated by 1 point.
When I judge, I look for overall creativity. JJ making the glass mug was very much JJ all day long. Chef Roberts using whiskey is hands down, everyone knows he enjoys whiskey, and just the way that they really put themselves into what they're doing, and in conjunction with the use of the secret ingredient and all of their technical skills, they let their own chef voice come out, and that's one of my favorite things, and that's what I look for the most, is who knows how to relay who they are as a chef to me as someone who's eating their food. Chef Roberts really used beer in a way that I didn't expect. The Belgian onion soup was outstanding, and he literally took the idea of a French onion soup and replaced it and made it a beer onion soup, and it was outstanding. There were so many different applications, and the beer flavor was so forward. I think that's what put him over the top, was just the presence of the beer and the taste of the beer, and being able to distinguish the 2 beers, the stout from the double, and really executed it to perfection.
So today, as a judge for Battle Beer, I was looking for how the chefs used the secret ingredient, how imaginatively they used the ingredient, and could I find that ingredient in the finished dish, and was not let down by either chef. I'm familiar with both chefs and the restaurants and the kitchens where they cook. JJ likes to be outside the box. He has a very spontaneous, fun sort of philosophy in the kitchen, and I expected to see a lot of that, and certainly wasn't disappointed. Anything from frozen nitrogen to spices to a very delicate hop foam on one of his dishes that you could really smell the waft of the Hallertau hops from. The brewer, it was very exciting to me to see that not just hops, but noble hops were used in that foam on that dish. Chef Roberts, I expected his approach to be fairly conservative, and was very pleasantly surprised to see him whip out the liquid nitrogen and to start get into some interesting and unusual ingredients, baby vegetables, barley risotto. Again, very much playing up on the beer, the natural beer ingredients, and also to use hops to essence one of his dishes. So that was very exciting to see, and a very nice touch that really brought the dish off quite nicely.
I've loved being witness to the Nickel City Chef series because, number one, it brings to light the fantastic talent we have in the area. There are so many of us that work the same hours, eat the same meal periods, try to visit other people's places that we don't really get to see one another that much. And it really showcases the people behind the scenes. There are so many hidden gems in Buffalo that if you ask any person, they have 3 or 4 different favorites. The focus on the chef is preliminary. Obviously, we want to show the raw public in a familiar format, which is the chef battle format, that we have these great cooks and that we're continuing to strive forward and make better food and present it to Buffalonians in a way that they can understand. And it really brings that to light. And I mean, I can't say how much this city has grown even in the last 3 years that this has been going on. You see chefs now know each other, we know what everybody's doing, we're communicating. The farm to table movement that is our original farm network in Buffalo from a century ago is now been reinvigorated to allow us with these great products. The farmers are on board, they know what we want, we know what their trials and tribulations are. It's a great symbiotic relationship that allows the diner to reap the rewards. I mean, it really is just, it's amazing to see.